Let's talk about your morning time. It matters. It really, really matters. And on this video, I want to explain why. Because those of you that are trying to boost your energy and you're trying to balance your hormones, I want you to understand that there are actually some things. Let me see how many I put down here. 5 things. 5 things you can do every morning to put yourself in rhythm with your mitochondria. Those are the ones that are giving you energy, and put yourself in rhythm with your hormones. So they're easy and they're free. And I'm so excited to share them with you. So let's dive in. Okay, what's happening in the morning hormonally? Let's talk about that first. When you wake up in the morning, your hormones, you still have a lot of melatonin in you. So melatonin kicks in at night when the sun sets, the sun goes down, the body sees, the eyes register that it's red light, it's getting dark, and all of a sudden melatonin kicks in. Melatonin stays surging and pulsing throughout your body for all night long, and then you wake up, and when you wake up and your eyes see light again, the body goes, okay, melatonin, time to turn off. So melatonin is really important because in the morning, melatonin is turning off. And in one of these 5 things is we want to mind the rules of melatonin. I'll tell you why here in a moment. Okay, second thing, as melatonin goes off in the morning, it signals cortisol to come in. So within the first 2 hours, what ends up happening of waking up is cortisol is surging. It's your biggest spike of cortisol of the whole entire day. And so we want to mind the principles of cortisol, and I'm going to give you those here in a moment. The other hormone, believe it or not, for both men and women that come in the morning is testosterone. Testosterone actually comes screaming in between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. So we want to mind the rules of testosterone. So hormonally, a lot goes on in the morning that if we know how to play by their rules, then we will actually start to have energy and balance our hormones. Okay, the other thing before I dive into these 5 is that your brain is doing a major shift too in the morning. So when you go to bed at the end of the day, you're in a state of what we call beta brainwave. So like right now, you're listening you're in a beta brainwave, and I'm speaking at a beta brainwave. And then when I go to put my head down on the pillow, all of a sudden the brainwaves start to change. My brain goes from beta to alpha, and then alpha to theta. A theta is where you go when you meditate. It's also the flow state, and then you go theta to delta. So there's a process of the brain, just like hormones have a real process that they do when we go to bed. Your brain does the same thing, and then when we wake up in the morning, we go in reverse. So we go from delta to theta to alpha to beta. So that's why, like, when you wake up, you're just a little bit kind of groggy, but we can use that time. It's a really cool space. I call it the liminal space. I'm a word geek, and I've been geeking out on this word liminal, and I found a really cool definition. Oh, I love this. The definition of liminal is the space between who you were and who you're going to be. And every single morning, you are waking up new, and you have an opportunity to be somebody new. And every single night, you're putting the person you were that day to rest, and you're going into this dreamy, cool state. And then you can wake up and be a different person if you want the next day. This is why I like the liminal space. There's so much growth that can happen in the liminal space. So with that in mind, we know the hormonal pattern, we know the brain pattern. Now let's talk about these 5 things. What should you do? So the number 1 is the very first thing when you wake up in the morning is be careful what gets in here. So if we wake up and we go straight to our phone, you are programming your belief system with whatever is on that phone. So if it's not puppies and kittens and places you want to travel to and humor, if it's stressing you out, you're literally programming your thoughts. One of the greatest podcast interviews I ever did was with Bruce Lipton. Love the man. He's the master of reprogramming your mind. And he was telling me how affirmations actually work. And I said, really? I don't really believe that. I'm not like one that walks around and says affirmations to myself. And he said, if you say an affirmation when you're going to bed, and you say an affirmation when you get up in the morning, you actually are in a different brain state. You are not in beta brain state. you are in an alpha or theta brain state. And when you're in alpha or theta brain state, you can reprogram your thoughts. So when you get up in the morning, if you want more energy, if you want to balance your hormones, let's reprogram your thoughts to actually think really healthy, good thoughts. So we got to build you a good mindset. We got to get rid of the limiting beliefs. So either spend some time listening to music, spend some time reading a book. I have a whole stack of books. I have what I call a thinking chair. Every morning I get up, I go and sit in my thinking chair, I listen to music, and I pick up one of the books. And I'm like, what do I want to put in my brain today? What do I want to stick in my brain today? It's always different. I just pick it up, I read it, I'm like, oh, I love that. And then maybe I'll go into breath work, I'll go into meditation. But for the first hour, guard this thing for the first hour. Don't check email, don't go on socials, guard it. You train it, and that first hour matters. Okay. Second, by the way, if you have a teenager in your life, you have a loved one in your life that is highly anxious, please send them this video. This is golden stuff that we're looking for. We have big challenges in the world right now with the way people are thinking, and we're looking for big solutions. They're not big. We just have to reprogram our day so that our brain starts to think things that work for us. So, okay, second thing in that early morning moment, see some light. So my thinking chair is right by a window. And sometimes when it's warm outside, I'll actually go out into my backyard, and I have a place I like to sit out there. I'll take my book, I'll take my headset, I got my breath work on an app, and I'll just go and I'll sit down and I'll be outside and I'll see the morning light. And the morning light is important because that's what shuts melatonin off. So when melatonin, if my eyes can see red light, it starts to tell my body, hey, the day is starting. So we were asleep and everything was dark, and then I woke up and now I'm seeing this red light, or I'm seeing full spectrum light if you woke up after sunrise, and that's going to signal melatonin to turn off. So get out into the light first thing in the morning so we can turn melatonin off. We're going to talk about melatonin here in a second, but morning light is critical. If you could move, if you go for a walk, even better. Okay, step number 3. Let's work with cortisol's natural rhythm. So what is cortisol's natural rhythm? An hour after you wake up is when cortisol is at its peak. An hour to like 2 hours is the way I think of it. But let's just, for the sake of this conversation, say an hour. So you start to wake up, melatonin calms down, you go from delta brainwave, you're moving towards beta state, you're getting yourself awake, and within that first, after an hour, cortisol's peaking. This is a great time to have your cup of coffee if you're a coffee person. Don't have it the minute you wake up. Wait an hour. And then you're spiking cortisol when it's natural to your body. Remember, if you have too much cortisol, it can throw off your hormones. It can also be stored as fat. So let's wait an hour. And let's just actually, have our cup of coffee an hour after we wake up. Second thing is that we can look at what the qualities of cortisol are. And this one's really fascinating. So what if cortisol could speak to you, she would say, when I show up, please move. I am designed to make you move. I am like primally in you so that when I make my appearance, you can run from a tiger. And if you're sitting, if you're sleeping, if you're not moving, then I don't know what to do with myself, so I'm going to go settle in as fat. Or I'm going to work on making more insulin resistance for you. So what cortisol wants you to do is get up and move. So let's look at the morning hour time now. We're like, okay, got up, I'm outside, I'm looking at light, I'm filling my brain with good stuff. I've done that for an hour. Now I'm going to go get my cup of coffee, I'm going to put on my shoes, and I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go to the gym, whatever your flavor is. But I'm going to move my body. Now we're working with the rhythm of our body. It's amazing. So within the first hour to 2 hours is the best time to work out because cortisol's at her peak. I got another book for you. It's called Eat Like a Girl. You will now know for your feminine body how to metabolically switch. I hope it helps. Okay, number 4, you can work with the natural rhythm of melatonin. And this has to do with food. So when melatonin is high, the pancreas is sleepy. This is something that Sachin Panda and I talked about on my podcast. Again, we'll leave a link for that interview. It's really cool about circadian rhythm. he said this comment, I really love it, which is when melatonin makes everything in the body sleepy, including the pancreas. So you're more insulin resistant when it's dark out. So in the morning, don't put food in your mouth right away. At least wait an hour or two. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you got to eat within 30 minutes when you first get up. I highly disagree with that, but you do what works for you. I'm just going to tell you what I think of when I look at melatonin, or I've seen the results that people are getting with videos like this, is that wait an hour, have your cup of coffee. If you want to eat at that point, fine, go ahead and eat. Melatonin's had enough time to turn off. Cortisol is on. You're insulin sensitive again. Go ahead and eat then. And if you want to eat protein, I think protein's a great thing to eat in the morning. It's a really solid thing to fuel your body with in the morning. But let's follow this natural rhythm of melatonin. Now, the fifth one, let's follow the rhythm of testosterone. Oh, there's a rhythm to testosterone? We haven't talked about this. So the rhythm to testosterone is an interesting one because testosterone peaks between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. for both men and women. And then you actually get another surge at the end of the night. I think that's kind of interesting. Wonder why biologically we would get that. I haven't figured out, I haven't thought about it yet, but I think it's strange that at the end of the night we get a testosterone surge, both men and women. Wonder what we're supposed to do with that. But in the morning, what we are looking at is if you have cortisol high and you have testosterone high, use it. Build muscle with it. Muscle is in vogue right now. Everybody's trying to build muscle. Great, let's build muscle. But let's do our workouts in the morning so we have both cortisol and testosterone. The two of them work really well for fitness, and they'll give you that extra oomph that you need. And lifting heavy weights is really important. Now, I want to talk about a testosterone killer. So there are a lot of ways you can kill these hormones and with our lifestyle. And one of the biggest killers for testosterone is chemicals. And the main chemical is called a phthalate. And the phthalates are in your fragrances. They're in your colognes, your perfumes, your plug-ins. So if you're doing all the right things and then you get up in the morning and you get in the car and you have one of those Christmas trees hanging from your car, you slap on your cologne, you've just killed testosterone. Or, I was at my gym, and one day they had all the plug-ins in there. I was like, everybody in here is trying to build muscle. Can you please take the plug-ins out? Because they're killing everybody's testosterone. So make sure that testosterone likes to be used. So use it to build muscle, but let's make sure that we're not having a phthalate-saturated environment that we're trying to build muscle in. So look at the fragrances that are around you when you're working out. Okay, so check this out. When we look at these things that we do first thing in the morning, I want to know, put it in the comments. I'm coming to read the comments on this one. I want to know how many of these things are you doing. Give me a number. There are 5 of these steps. Are you doing all 5? Which one was new to you? I want to see what you've got, because here's the deal that we've got in health right now. We've overcomplicated it. And we've gotten really dogmatic about it. This is right, this is wrong. No, you can never go wrong when you understand how your body works. And these 5 things will tell you how your body works. And this video, I hope this video helps. And as always, share it out into the world. I'm trying to get people healthy with free tools. And your lifestyle is your best health tool. It is your absolute best health tool. You don't need a load of supplements. You don't need special medications. You need to know your body. Now, if you're on a medication, don't ever get off a medication that your doctor put you on without talking to him or her. But I want us to bring lifestyle back into the health conversation because it's that important. And the list I just gave you is gold. Try it and then report back. On the next video, it's called Do This Before You Sleep to Avoid Belly Fat. And there's habits you want to do the night before, and there's habits you want to do in the morning, and all of those make a big difference. Make sure your room is cool. If our mattress is cool, if the room is cool, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. This is a little bit like cold plunges.